fine hooligans. Hope all is bueno with you folks. I wanted to hit you with a quick little video here. I don't know. Captain Marvel was just released, and I'm seeing a lot of the same kind of thought being put out on social media. And I don't know. I noticed something that definitely points to the opposite. So let's just get into it. So, with like this whole thing with Captain Marvel and like certain comments that the actress Brie Larson had made, it's understandable why a lot of people would like push the thought or the narrative, whatever you want to call it, that the general public just is afraid of female superheroes or a female-led superhero movie. But that's like, I don't see that being true. Hear me out. Sarah Connor from the Terminator franchise, one of the most beloved action heroes of all time. Ripley from Aliens, come on. And also, from the same website, Rotten Tomatoes, that have these like negative scores or whatever from the audience for Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman is sitting at an 88% for the audience. And I believe like a 93 or a 94 for the critics score. So that in itself shows that no, this isn't the case. It could be because of the actress's comments, who knows? But it also could be it just wasn't that great of a movie, folks. Like, hear me out. Has Marvel done a lot of great things and made very successful movies? Absolutely. Does that mean every movie is going to be a home run? No. All I'm gonna say, Thor: Dark World, Iron Man 3. For some of the reviews I was reading, there actually is a lot of like critique that makes sense. Whether it has to do with the story, whether it's how there's certain things within this movie kind of feels like it contradicts what Marvel's done, like story-wise, leading up to this point in a certain like aspects or whatever. But overall, it could just be like when you compare it to other movies, it's just not that great. Like when it goes into the MCU, that has nothing to do with gender or anything like that. Honestly, like for that, I believe it could be a very small portion of like the fan base or the group around, whatever you want to call it, that might bring that into it. But overall, like it seems a lot of just Marvel fans or the ones that I've come across on YouTube or whatever, it just feels like this one doesn't fit in the MCU as much. And with everything leading up to it, it's kind of put like a bit of a sour taste in people's mouth. Now, that being said, I don't know all of the comments that Brie Larson has made. I don't like look into celebrity interviews or read them or anything. I had seen one clip like on Instagram, I think it was, where she said she believed in diversity and then started talking about the technology on our phones and more grounded stories. I don't know, it was kind of a confusing thing, but that's not something that like I would hold against her personally. It's just, I don't know. The whole narrative or the thought that's being pushed out that the general public isn't ready for a female superhero like movie isn't true, because we have the numbers from the exact same platform that says the opposite. But other than that, good folks, you know what? I'm filming right now, so why don't I just include a couple other little things that I'm excited to talk about at least. First thing, I've been putting a lot of time into Arkham Knight, and I have less than 50. I think I only have like 40 riddles or something to solve, and then I have all of the riddles solved. For me, it was like, I don't know. It's a really like cool thing because I've solved all of the riddles in Asylum, City, and Origins. All of the riddles, all the trophies, I've 100%ed like all of those games. So to do that with Arkham Knight, I am very, very excited. And then I get to do all the like the DLC stories and whatever. So that's like, I don't know. I'm so excited to play as Red Hood. Just fucking pow, pow, pow. And recently watched a movie called The House That Jack Built, starring Matt Dillon. My goodness, folks. I loved this movie. I thought it was very cleverly done, taking these random events from this serial killer that he feels has like formed his life, or that has had some sort of impact on him, that he's randomly chosen these specific like points throughout his life. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed it. It's not like, here's point A, then we're gonna work to point B. Some people feel like it jumped around a lot. I don't know. It's one of those things for me, because they are just these random moments picked like from his life, it made sense. And honestly, like, I don't know, I'm still working on a book called One Bad Day that is basically the same idea, which, I don't know, after seeing this movie kind of makes me feel like I just shouldn't like even finish the book or anything, because I don't want to like, I don't want people to feel like I just ripped this movie off somehow. I will say there's a scene in particular that people were like kind of freaking out about. It has to do with like a family kind of setting. For me personally, I don't know, I didn't have an issue with it. It's weird to say, I guess, for some people out there, but like I didn't actually have an issue with it. One, it wasn't like a incredibly gory scene. There was a bit of a disturbing twist to the one, you know, lunchtime thing. But other than that, like, you hear the thought process, like, of Jack, and you hear the way he looks at the world and everything. So for that character, these actions are completely, like, within that, within his limits. You know what I mean? Even in, like, an interview, Matt Dillon asked the director, Lars von Trier, he said, like, you know, Jack is a really bad guy. Lars von Trier, the director, said, oh, you don't get any worse than him. Think about the serial killers that have been throughout life. In the 70s, serial killers were fucking rampant. It was crazy. But think about all of the ones that have existed throughout history, or at least the ones that we know about that have existed throughout history, and the crazy, like, gruesome acts that they've done to their victims. This is literally a peek into that world. It's going to be, like, disturbing for some folks. It's going to be confusing for some folks, because it's, how can you look at the world that way? How can you treat people that way? But, like, a serial killer who feels no empathy for these victims and doesn't look at them as people, in a way, it's very different. They don't feel or think the exact same way, or even close to the same way as we would about it, or as like a regular person, whatever you want to say. So I don't know. I thought it was a very interesting film. I thought it was like, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. My lady watched it with me. She really liked it too. So that was kind of cool. I don't know. It was just the house that Jack built, good folks. It's an interesting movie. The ending, I'm not going to spoil it or anything. It can be a little confusing because it feels like it kind of comes out of left field without giving anything away. I feel like that's kind of us diving further into like his consciousness and it, like, just in his own hell in a way. I don't want to give it away. But either way, I had a lot of fun. Gonna get this all edited up, put out for you folks. Hopefully you enjoy it. And honestly, as far as like the Captain Marvel stuff goes, before we end this, I'm not trying to like start an argument or anything like that. I'm not telling you if it's a good movie or a bad movie or anything like that. What I've said should not determine anything for you folks. Like, if you enjoy the movie, go enjoy the fuck out of it. If you don't like the movie, then don't like the movie. But don't attack others because, like, they do. And, you know, vice versa. But either way, just, I had seen these, like, one-course arguments going, and this one piece of, like, evidence had, or piece of the puzzle, whatever you want to call it, had never been brought in. So, that's it. Either way. Mucho love, you hooligans. Hope all is bueno with you folks. Hope you folks have an awesome weekend. It's just, mwah, mwah, mwah for you beautiful fat J's. Quiet kids, freaks, and weirdos. For the love of everybody, keep being weird for me.